learners in Learning Land. Today we're going to look at 3 techniques to show you how to mix chords and scales on your baritone ukulele. Printable tabs are becoming a Patreon. You'll see links in the notes as well as the description. Subscribe and learn. New ukulele every Wednesday and Saturday. Baritone's the first Wednesday of the month. Check out the baritone playlist too. So if you're a fan of the baritone or this style of lesson, hit that thumbs up button and let us know. Additional information in the description, including my email if you want some one-on-one lessons. Let's do it. Grab that baritone ukulele, brain attention span, follow me on in, and let's level up. All right, let's have some fun. Today I'm going to show you how to blend scales and chords. We're going to be doing these concepts in the key of C. The chords in the key of C, you have 7 chords, but we're only going to use 4. We're going to use a C chord, middle finger on your 2nd fret of the D string, index on the 1st of the B, A minor, add your ring finger to the 2nd fret of the G, E minor, remove them all except for your middle finger, and the G, which is simply your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. There are 3 more chords in this key, and if you take these concepts and experiment with them, the ones you would add would be D minor, you would also have F, and you would have a B diminished chord, but I just don't feel like those are necessarily, I think they're a little too difficult for this lesson, but if you are more advanced, please, I encourage you, take these concepts and experiment with those chords as well. We're going to be using 2 scales. The first scale is the C major pentatonic, 0, 2, 0, 2, 1, 3, 0, 3. Now we're not starting on the C note, and that's just because of the way the ukulele is tuned. I get questions on that sometimes. If it's the C pentatonic, why don't we start on the C note? And that's a great question, but it's about getting all the notes available that you have in this one shape. The pentatonic scale has 5 shapes as well. So this is just one of 5 shapes. 0, 2, D, E, 0, 2, G, A, 1, 3, C, D, 0, 3, E, G. Each of those notes has something called an interval, and an interval really is a number that you assign to a note in a scale that measures the distance from the tonic. That might sound super fancy, so let's kind of maybe water that down. When you play in the key of C, C note is home base. All right, if you're playing tag, this is where you're safe. If you're playing baseball, this is home base. If you're playing football, this is the end zone. If you're cooking, this is salt, the most important ingredient of all time. This is, everything revolves around this note here, C note. All the other notes, when you have these intervals, just measure how far away you are from that note, and they get a number for that distance. The other scale we're going to use is the C major scale, 0, 2, 3, 0, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. And I want you to notice right off the bat with this one, it has all the same notes as C major pentatonic, with just 2 additional notes, the F note and the B note. When we talk about those intervals, those are the 4 and the 7, which tend to be the sourest sounding notes in a scale and the hardest to use. The pentatonic is kind of like bumper bowling. All 5 of those notes are going to sound great over all the chords, so it's very, very forgivable and makes it great for improvisation and experimenting. The full 7-note scale, the major scale, you have to be a little more aware of what you're doing. All right, we have the chords we're going to use and we have the scales we're going to use. Let's talk about method number 1. And method number 1 is what we're going to do is we're going to connect our chords using the scale. And so our chord progression is going to go C, A minor, C, and G. So let's just start off and let those ring for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to use the scale to like tie these together, kind of like our shoelaces. For the C, let's start off with a down, up, down. 1 and 2. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Okay? Then the riff is going to go 1st fret, 3rd fret, 1st fret, open. And these are something called 8th notes. So you're going to go 1 and 2 and. Then we're gonna make our A minor, and we're gonna just play the second fret of the G string. That's the A note. For the A minor, A note is what's called a root note. For C, it's C. For C minor, it's C. For G, flat 13, add 9 is G. So whatever that little letter is at the beginning, that's also your root note. So it has this nice sound when we go do, 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 boom. Let's just play just to there. Let's get to our A minor, and let's also do one down strum. Beautiful. So what we've done is we've taken these chords and we've used the scale to go from one note in our chord to another note in the next chord. And that's really essentially all we're doing. After that down strum, we're going to go 3, 1, and then we're going to play our C again. Down, up, down. All right? So I'm starting really anywhere I want, and the last note in the little lick I'm playing, I'm making sure that it's a note in the chord that I'm landing on. Down, up, down, 1, 3, 1, 0, 2, down, 3, 1, down, up, down, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up. We get to our G chord, and this next riff is 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. Note we're using this first fret here, which means we're playing the C major scale, not the C major pentatonic. 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, down, up, down. So up to there we get down, up, down. 1, 3, 1, 0, 2, down. 3, 1, down, up, down. 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, down, up, down. 3, 1, boom. Then we would start over. Now the 3, 1, you might be thinking, well, hey, dude, you just told me that we're finishing these little ideas with the scale on a note that's in the chord that's coming up. And we did that over the C, over the A minor, and the C, and the G. But what's cool here is when we go 3, 1, the next number that you're probably thinking is 0. And that next number is in the chord. So another thing you can do is play up to the note in the chord, one note before it, but still have the same sound and the same effect. So let's play through these 4 as a circle, nice and slow. Down, up, down, 1, 3, 1, 0, 2, down, 3, 1, down, up, down, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, down, up, down, 3, 1, down, up, down, 1, 3, 1, 0, 2, down, 3, 1, down, up, down, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3, down, up, down, 3, 1, down. Lovely, beautiful, and that is how you use the scale to tie the chords together. What you need to do this on your own, and I would encourage you to do it in the same key, is step 1, create a chord progression. Step 2, strum that out just on the downbeat so you know. And then step 3, start from one note and play the scale and see how you can get to the note of the next chord. Experiment with that, have fun, and you are going to create some beautiful ideas that you're really going to surprise yourself, and you're going to say, you know what, I'm a little better at this than I thought I was. So for the next strategy, what we're going to do is all strumming, but I'm going to show you how you can do something called creating extended chords just by experimenting with the scale. It's going to sound like this. So this whole time, these entire 4 measures, I'm going to be strumming over my C chord, down, down, up, down, up. Just like that. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up. And in fact, that's what the first measure is. Down, down, up, down, up. Over the next measure, I'm going to get my pinky or my ring finger, I think the pinky's easier, on the 3rd fret of this B string. Same strum pattern. And what I'm doing is I'm experimenting with notes in the chord, notes in the scale that aren't in the chord. You can add notes from your scale to your chord to create extended chords. Some of these are going to be very sweet. Some are going to be very sour. Some will be dissonant. Some will sound resolved. You're going to love some, you're going to hate some, and you're going to like some. But it's the process of experimentation, and you can do this with any chord in the key. Like I could do this over A minor or G or E minor if I wanted to as well. And I can play any note in the scale as well. So I'm just adding this note here on the 3rd fret of the B string to my C chord. If you know a little more about intervals, this is what would be called a C add 9. The next one, I drop that pinky down to the 3rd fret here. All I've done here is, continued to play a C chord. You might be wondering, how is that possible? If this is a C, how is this a C? A C chord is 3 notes, C, E, G. This G note we're getting here on the open G string. So all I'm doing is turning this E note into a G, but that's okay because I also have another E note here. So this is just another way to play a C chord. As long as you have a C, an E, and a G, you have a C chord. Then the next one is going to be probably the hardest to play and the most sour sounding. We're adding an F note coming from our C major scale. This will be 2, 0, 1, 1. And this is called a C add 11. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, if you know a little bit about theory, you're thinking, well, why isn't that what's called a C suspended 4? To make it a C suspended 4, I also have to move this E up here. Because I have to eliminate all the E's and turn all the E's into F's. So 3, 0, 1, 1 would be a C add 4. 2, 0, 1, 1 is what's called a C add 11. And it's sour. It might be too sour for your taste, but what's really nice is go from something sour to sweet after that. So let's strum through this one more time, now that we've seen them all. 1, 2, 3, 4. The experiment could continue after that. Ooh, that didn't sound very good, but that's part of the experimentation process, right? Take a chord in the key, and experiment with notes in the scale over that chord. And then the third and last way is you can combine these ideas with some really lovely finger picking. So let's take a look at this four-bar idea I came up with, and let's break it down. It sounds like this. Lovely. Now, if we were to just strum through this, it would be 2 measures of C, 1 of A minor, and 1 of E minor. We would get. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful progression. But knowing how to mix the scale with our finger picking, we can create something much more unique. So 1 measure at a time. The first measure sounds like this. Start with our C chord, strum down on the first beat. We're going to play the open G string and hammer onto the 2nd fret. Here, I'm taking a note from the chord and hammering on to a note in the scale. Then my index finger plays the 1st fret of the B string. Using 16ths here, if you were to count it, you get 2 E and. Then my middle finger drops down to the 2nd fret, where it started in the chord on the D string. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So I fingerpicked through this and I just added one note from the scale and I got a ton of color just out of that one note. Going back to the intervals, they really are important. If you can stomach learning them and you can pay a little bit of attention, they really will benefit you. The A note over a C chord is what's called the sixth interval. So this is kind of a C6 arpeggio. Our second measure is all fourth notes. We're going to start out with this C like we did earlier and get our pinky on the 3rd fret. Still playing a C, and what we're going to do is we're going to use our thumb on this D string, and these two fingers are going to pluck up on the B and the E. The thumb is then going to drop down and play the open G string. 1, 2. We're going to go back to this shape we saw earlier, 1 and 1. We're going to play the 2nd fret, 1 and 1 here. So here we're adding a note from the scale, the F note, to our C chord. And then I'm going to lift it up, go back to a regular C, and pluck the same strings. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4. So the notes we added from the scale were the 3rd fret and the 1st fret. If I didn't add any notes from the scale, this is what that same measure would sound like. So let's play what it would sound like without the scale and what it would sound like with the scale. It's a massive difference. So all I'm doing is taking the chord that I know and the scale and looking at what notes are in the scale that aren't in the chord and experimenting with my little fingies. Okay, we're going to an A minor after this. Boom. This is the whole shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pluck the 2 middle strings. I love this sound in the baritone because this is my root note. And by playing the root note there, I get a really nice A minor sound. I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. I'm going to drop down, 2nd fret, and then my pinky is going to get on the 3rd fret of the B string. Again, this is a note that's not in my chord, but it is in my scale, and I'm experimenting with it, and I like the way it sounds. I'll drop down to the 2nd fret of the G, back to the 3rd fret, back to the 2nd fret, remove my pinky, and now I'm back in the chord on the 1st fret. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. On the first beat, I lift that finger up and play the open B string. Now I'm in an E minor, and I'm going to go. That's simply 8th notes, starting on the B string, to the G string, to the D string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You can only play the 8th notes 8 times because then your measure's full. And after that, we be back in the top. So that last measure. There, I'm not using any notes from the scale. But if you wanted to, you could experiment. I like the way the E minor sounds there, so that's what I'm going to roll with. Experimenting means trying new things, but that doesn't mean you're committed just because you know how to do it. Listen to it. If you like it, use it. If you don't, pull it back or try something new. So let's play through this loop 2 times to hear how lovely it sounds. And that is 3 ways to do it. So the next thing for you to do is take those chords in the key of C, learn that scale, and start your own experimentation. Write a song. But also, now that you know this, be aware when you're learning a new song so you can notice when your favorite artists also use these type of techniques in their own playing. And there you go, folks. You got it. That's how we do it. Go ahead and enjoy this. Apply it to some songs you're writing. Apply it to learning more about the voice. Apply it to learning more about music theory. Really, the applications on this, you're only limited by your creativity. And the most important thing, as always, is have fun. Catch you on the flip side. First Wednesday of the month for baritone, ukulele Wednesday, Saturday, guitar on Monday. Subscribe and learn. Thumbs up if it helped you. Take care.